puppeteers, let's get straight into what we talking about today. MK Ultra. You can look it up yourself. So what the MK Ultra was, it was a top secret CIA project in which the agency conducted hundreds of clandestine experiments, sometimes on unwitting U.S. citizens, to assess the potential use of LSD and other drugs for mind control, information gathering, and psychological torture. Though Project MK Ultra lasted from 1953 until about 1973, details of the illicit program didn't become public until 1975 during a congressional investigation into widespread illegal CIA activities within the United States and around the world. I don't think it ever stopped.
Me either. I definitely don't believe that. He would basically take some of his patients, use certain drugs, and also he would use like I said earlier, I mentioned like electro treatment,
Shock therapy.
yeah, shock therapy and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I still can't believe they used to do shock therapy. That shit sounds crazy. As far as MK Ultra, right? I've done some. I went down that rabbit hole.
yeah,
So I think it's basically mind control, of course.
yeah.
But how deep does mind control actually go? I don't know if anybody has ever seen this, but you ever seen a show where somebody was getting hypnotized? And you're like, yo, is that real or is it fake?
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know to this day whether it's real or fake, hypnotism. But it does make sense that if you do pump, because we talked about that, if you do drug someone,
Yeah.
they're more susceptible to probably being mind control or controlled to some extent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like whether they're under the influence or that they're more prone to it, whatever it may be. But I truly believe, you can say it's a conspiracy or whatever, that MK Ultra was used and experimented on a lot of, American citizens, especially black people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as when it came to, probably the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, probably even during slavery. Maybe the experiments was started like towards the end of slavery, because mind control has everything to do with beating somebody's will down sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
But now we in the future. We in the future now where somebody could they could mind control you by sound, but also by imagery on television.
Yeah.
And you don't even know some stuff is being put into your subconscious and all of that.
And it's what's interesting too, right? Because this is between 1947 and 1991, so they say,
Yeah.
right? I wonder if they used some of this technology during the civil rights movement, because you got to think some of the assassinations taking place, right, on well-known black activists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them was taken out by our very own people. So
True.
How would you feel like, or how, like, is it too much to say that, there's a possibility that, they were under CIA's,
I mean, that's all speculation, right?
Yeah.
It really matters what was the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
During that time, I don't think it was necessary because everybody hated black people. You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't hard for them to plan some shit to get, somebody killed. Like, for example, Martin Luther King. Every year, Martin Luther King Day passes, right? You have every news channel says, "Oh, happy Martin Luther King Day." Oh, happy. It's a government holiday, right? I think it is. Is it a government holiday? Yeah. But so you have this date that comes up every year, but they never talk about the specifics of how he was assassinated. They say it was one man. Well, really, it was a branch of government who was responsible for it. They literally had cops literally were told not to pay attention for a certain amount of time because he was supposed to have niggas watching over him.
Yeah.
But it was all like planned strategically for him to step out and get popped the way he did. Not only that, they finished him off in the hospital too. So it was like, we got to make sure this guy's gone. So you're saying that it could have been somebody mind controlling?
I mean,
true.
yeah.
And it also could have been just that a hateful motherfucker who just wanted him gone, or a group of people who wanted him gone, and they had one scapegoat.
Yo, but like, you know what's interesting as well, right? Can you imagine, right? And I'm getting off this topic real quick as far as like the Martin Luther King and stuff, but some of the programs, some of the experiments that they were running on people, right? They would use drugs and like they would take certain individuals and they would bring them to parties. So you wouldn't know that you're a part of an experiment. So they'd probably get like a woman and get a group of people, and they would have them take a whole bunch of drugs. Can you imagine? You don't even know what's really going on the whole entire time you're getting experimented on, just to see like the effects.
Right. To be honest,
it's kind of scary because like
it's quite
it makes you be like, it makes you afraid a little bit more, because it's like, damn, when you go out partying and shit like that, am I being experimented on and shit?
It's quite fascinating.
Gotta be careful out there, right?
It's fascinating, yo. I ain't gonna lie. It is fascinating. It would be an experiment that I would want to see. I know it's inhumane, but it's something that I would want to see. I ain't gonna lie. It is a bit like, I don't know how I'd feel if I went to the club and I'm just dancing, I'm having a good time, and there's some dude in a lab coat going, he has drip. That shit'd be crazy, but I don't know. Now, I think there's a larger picture, if that makes any sense, to all the experiments that are done. Because in order for us to advance as a human race, experiments need to be done, sometimes on ourselves, of course, to test our limits, etc. But I think what's like really inhumane is that entire program, to be able to manipulate someone into doing something. When you strip free will from man, that's ungodly. I think that's damn near, what's the word I'm looking for? Unholy, blasphemous, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I know we don't get too much into religion, but I think that's one of the main things that of all mankind, you know what I'm saying, all religions, you feel what I'm saying, whether you're Muslim, Christian, a Buddhist, whatever it may be, you believe you have that choice. If that, every person has a choice whether they can do wrong or bad. But when you have a program or some sort of new invention or way of work where I can say, hey, you're done. I'm going to make sure you do this for me, whether you like it or not.
And you know what's you know what's so scary about that too, right? It's the fact that they can implant certain memories in your brain that you've never even experienced. So the extent of that type of technology is kind of scary, because I can make you think that something happened to you that never even happened, and it makes a lot of the things that they were having people do were going against their moral code. So whether it was murder, robbery, even sexual abuse or something like that, man. So it's when you find out the government is capable of some shit like that, man, it makes you kind of afraid a little bit.
I mean, there's a lot to be afraid of in this world. All you have control over is yourself, but that's a really good reason to be afraid, because people walk around every day, all they can do is try their best in everyday lives. I know we keep bringing it up, but I'll bring it up again, especially when it comes to the vaccine, man. I know it just passed and all that, but they were capable of convincing people through lies, manipulation, and, scientific manipulation too.
Yeah.
Saying that, yo, you guys need this. Why are you not taking this?
Right.
It's 99% effective. Next week, it's 85% effective. Next week, if you take it, you won't get COVID. Next week, okay, yeah, if you take it, you might get COVID. You understand what I'm saying? And then you have people who are consistently defending it. Is that not to some level mind control?
It is.
And when it comes to just getting someone random, right, to do a specific task, we were talking about that on the other episode, about the guy, how some people say, hey, they hear voices. They say, oh, these voices made me do it, or whatever it may be. That's another form. You know what I'm saying? But MK Ultra, the specific program, I believe, was put in place um, for intelligence. If that makes any sense, I think it's for literally. It was made for just intelligence,
Yeah.
but it turned into something else, like all technology.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
And yo, what's crazy about that, right? I would assume that maybe some of the people that are in power right now, like whether it's like politicians, some might say the president. Who's to say that they're not even under some form of mind control?
They are.
With some of the things that they agree upon, obviously a lot of them are evil or capable of corruption,
Mm-hmm.
but who's to say some of them aren't under some form of mind control? Because like even with I know we've mentioned this before, even with Joe Biden, bro, this guy is out of it. Who's to say he's not in on some form of MK Ultra, or even some of the people that we know that are in the entertainment industry? Because I've seen some pretty weird things going on as far as like entertainers and shit like that. Some of them they'll have like these little cues where they're clap maybe 3 times, and they might have a handler next to them or something like that. Their handler might get them back into get them back into certain get them back into that mind control program.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's always a possibility. Especially when it comes to it's easier to believe when it comes to politicians who are in power,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how the system works, right? If people have been paying attention, things haven't been getting better. Things have been consistently getting worse.
Yeah.
And no matter who you put in that bitch, or what I mean by that, no matter who you put in that White House, whoever is the president, if you're educated right now, you know how much power they do not have, and that it is in the power of the Senate, or it is in the power of the elite. If you follow the money, you start to understand who really controls these policies that you're seeing being put in place. And it has nothing. I don't think it has anything to do with race anymore. Like, people want to bring race into it. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has everything to do with the elite who are in power, the same people who created the educational system.
Yeah.
They want, of course, pawns. They want people to follow. They want you to be mindless and not as educated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why they put so many people in debt, man. That's why when it comes to STEM, when it comes to people who want to go to college for these things, they're put into this debt for a reason. That's why they don't want to make school free, because if you have too much free school, you get too many educated people and actual free thinkers.
Yeah.
And that's not good for someone who wants to control society and do these bad things at the top, whether it comes to pollution, when it comes to consumerism, because that's who we are, consumers. Essentially, we are all consumers. And to disrupt the system, you can disrupt the system if you make too many millionaires or too many free thinkers.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I agree with you. You know why I agree with you so much so? Because when you think of the elite, I don't think of just one race. I feel like they give us these petty things that we fight over just to distract us, just to keep us separate, just to have some where they can control us, whether it's man versus woman, black versus white, rich versus poor.
Right.
So these are like all distractions that they use for like another form of mind control.
Mm-hmm.
Only the poor people, I feel like only poor people really have time to sit there. Like, people with time on their hand sit there and worry about race all the time.
Now,
for the most part.
Yeah. So here's how I'm gonna counter you with that, right? I'm not countering you. I'm going towards the same type of idea. I had a discussion once with someone. It was a discussion. It was more of an argument, but sort of a discussion. They were like, "Yeah, look at these people living in these houses, getting free checks from the government. I don't like the fact that my tax dollars are going towards that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "How could you even that?" Because there's people who like that. Like, they'll work their everyday lives, see the taxes come out their paychecks, and they're more angry at the person who's not working. Of course, probably taking advantage of, for the free government assistance, right? Which mostly, that's not all black people. That's a lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're mad at them, right? I'm like, how? I'm like, then that's how I know you haven't done extensive research on what your actual tax money goes to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the majority of it goes to? It goes to war.
Facts. I
It
was just
goes
thinking
to
that too.
the destabilization of other countries.
Yeah.
That is something to be more angry about.
Yeah.
Instead of them saying, all right, oh, okay, we're going to lower your taxes. Your taxes go up every year. For what? What do you think? You think, oh, because they government assistance? It doesn't take much to take care of poor people in the street. Most of that budget goes to war.
Yeah.
Period. You can't. It goes to overseas, putting their hands in different access to minerals and stuff in other countries. Destabilization of governments, implanting dictatorships in certain countries. That's where that money goes to. If we really want to talk about it, you feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to race, that's because I agree with it. Like, it's not always about race. It's not always around race, especially now in 2023. It's never about race. It's really about the money. If you follow the money, you understand where neighborhoods are right now. Like, people, when it comes to that black and white stuff, to that racism stuff, people tend to forget their past, especially when it comes to racism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, get over it. But I think to that extent it's unfair because everybody else gets their history except black people. But the black people is like, oh, get over it. You had a black president. Shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
But any other race, they're like, yo, we had the Holocaust happen to us. How dare you disrespect us? But there've been Holocausts on other people around the world. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's neither here nor there. I don't know if that has anything to do with MK Ultra, but it's mind control. You're being manipulated.
Yeah.
By a system.
Yeah, I agree. Because even like as far as like what you were saying earlier, you're right. Most of the tax dollars definitely do go through war. Like, look how much money we sent to Ukraine, and we're about to send money to Israel to fund like these proxy wars and shit like that.
It's ridiculous, man. It's a complicated subject only for those who are afraid to take a side. I'm not afraid to take a side. War is wrong. Period. We shouldn't be in certain places. Period. We should take care of home. Period. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But then they get into complications. Well, we're allies with this country, and I'm like, yo, we're in the future now, man. Like, the amount of technology that we have in today's world, bruh, we shouldn't be killing people for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, bombing places. Well, these terrorists over here. Yeah, but you just killed how many kids, bruh? For what? Oh, the collateral damage is war. I'm like, oh, nah, we in the future now. We have technology. We can look, bruh, you could throw robots into war now. That's it.
You don't even need humans anymore.
You don't need humans anymore. They could go in with guns. No human life. Like, all right, where these people at? But anyway, that's an argument that people will probably have. Like, yo, nah, you don't know anything about war. I'm like, no, I do know that you can spot something. Like, they have technology that they could see through walls. They could really search for people.
Mm-hmm.
They have that technology, yo. They can find whoever they want at any given moment. So I know that there's no excuse for bombing buildings, hospitals, etc. But anyway, that shit got me mad. You feel me?
No, I'm just looking at some of this MK Ultra stuff for real, bro. It's kind of interesting, man, because the government isn't really run by the presidency or like our judicial systems. It's literally ran by the CIA. You get out of line, the CIA is right there to put your ass back in place, man. Some of these secret operations by these people is ridiculous, man. It's some of them you can't even fathom, right? Some of them, like, you would probably think that it's some out of a movie, right? And it's just interesting that these people have the power to even just do some of these things, man. Because there's people right now who are actually being after like it was like 5 generations. What was it, Eddie? Remember when we were listening to it earlier? Was it 5 generations or 50 years? they were actually getting paid.
5 decades.
It was like 5 generations, right?
5 decades, yeah.
5 decades. Now they're getting paid, some of them, for all the traumatic shit that they went through.
That's not a surprise at all,
Mm-hmm.
bro. We need an episode on. It's gonna
What?
be crazy. We should like an episode of at least 20 people that have been deleted
Mm-hmm.
that had to do with probably connections to CIA. Or is that too hot? Is that too hot, cuz?
I mean, nothing.
I went on a rabbit hole one time. I
Yeah.
was like, yo, like this person clearly didn't commit suicide. They were on their way somewhere, but they committed suicide in the car.
Nah, they just
I'm like, yo,
they accidentally shot themselves 5 times in the back of the head.
yeah, like I'm like, yo, never, bro, never, yo, bro. I was doing research. It's crazy. That rabbit hole is crazy. As far as those are the most interesting stories to me of people who are they list their deaths as suicide,
Word.
but the backstory doesn't support their death. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know what? Nah, that's.
And then a lot of times when you look at some of the things that they were into, it's like they mention the deaths, right? But they never mention what was leading up to the deaths. It's always they committed suicide. Well, okay, what was the reason behind that? What type of life were they living prior to them committing suicide?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, well, this person was into this type of stuff. They worked for this government agency. And while they were on the brink of maybe truth-telling or what's that word that they use? What's the word that they use now? Whistleblowing.
Yeah.
And then they committed suicide or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're in the future now. Like, it's harder to hide things. The villains got to get smarter now. Like,
that's why you got to distract people so much. You got to just distract everybody with so many things going on right now, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of easy.
Very easy.
It's kind of easy, bro.
Very easy.
They're probably like, yo, this shit's easier than we thought.
Yeah. What I want to know is the people who work for the news. Do y'all have any souls? Do you have any soul at all? Because you're talking about these are supposed to be people who are journalists. How do you not go crazy as a journalist with all the information that you have access to, and yet you still manage to get on TV and talk about bullshit? Does that not drive you insane?
Yo, you know what I'm looking at right now?
What?
I don't really mean to like.
No, you good.
I'm just looking at some of the drugs that they used.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of mind blowing because I've taken some of these drugs.
This nigga.
They talk about MDMA, which is ecstasy.
Yeah.
I've never done heroin, all right, but like they talk about methamphetamines, psilocybin. You feel me, like mushrooms and shit like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of drugs, even LSD. Like there's a lot of some of these drugs I've taken, bro, and it's just
that's not a surprise.
it's scary because like you could just be one day at a party and then you're getting experimented on.
True.
It's kind of
true.
It gives you like a different perspective of going outside and going to party and shit like that.
True. I mean, who are really the people who have to worry about it is, of course, the women. Mm-hmm. They have to be more careful about who they're around, especially when it comes to these types of drugs and stuff like that. And as far as when it comes to men, you know, it really depends on the area, the situation, the party you at, and what you're involved with. And sometimes it could be something random, man. Like that shit. It could be something random. Like as far as we know that shootings happen in America. We have like as far as the world, we have some of the most shootings. And people think it has something to do with gun control. Other people think it has something to do with mental health. I believe it has everything to do with probably the mental health part of it, but I believe it also has something to do with what we're eating, what we're consuming, what we're being polluted by. Like you saying it's drugs. I'm like, you know that in our blood and in the rain. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, we mentioned it, I think, in one of the episodes.
Like in the rain, Blunteers, they have drugs that are in the rain right now, like in the water. Like there's like the water that you see that's rain and stuff like that. There you can find chemicals in there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Babies are born with stuff in their blood. Like there's parts of the world where babies are born without specific things in their blood that are chemicals from which we've released into the world. Like mankind, as far as science is concerned. So, as far as that concerned, like I do think that plays a part in the brain chemistry of everyday people.
You know what's so crazy? I think I read an article one time and they were talking about how if it wasn't a drug, it was, I think most people on this planet, they're born with like
Microplastics.
In their bloodstream.
Yeah.
So that gives you just an idea of how much bullshit that we're doing on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
So
and the thing is, they don't even mention that on everyday stuff. Like they don't even mention that when it comes to CDC and stuff. You know what did they say? Like, it's minuscule, it's small. That's how it starts, bro. They used to have doctors on commercials prescribing cigarettes.
You know what's so funny?
It's crazy. Nah, it's not. That shit don't drive you crazy.
Yeah,
anyway, bro. Anyway,
you know how you mentioned that women have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Operation Midnight Climax was an MK Ultra project in which the government employed prostitutes to lure unsuspecting men. Mm-hmm. So, to be honest, men were mostly the victims of this shit, bro. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't women, bro. Most of the time, it was men because it's easy to lure a man. You just get a woman. Mm-hmm. You don't have to kidnap, like, because there's no fight. You don't have to kidnap versus, like, a man, like, with a woman, you gotta kidnap her and do all this extra shit, I would assume.
That's
right?
A good movie idea.
With men, all you need is a prostitute. That's it, right? That's scary, bro.
That's a good movie idea.
That is scary. I want to hear it. Go ahead. Give me like a little snippet.
That's why they say Boom Boom rules the world, bro.
Yeah. Boom Boom rules.
And look, they would use two-way mirrors and watch the drugs effect on a man's behavior.
Bro, that is a good movie right there.
It's scary, bro. It is scary.
That's a good movie idea. Like back in the day, these MK Ultra experiments, they hide prostitutes. A guy gets lured in somewhere. It's probably a Seth, like the nigga from Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
A nigga like him. You know, so that nigga, he gets lured in. He's like, listen, I got a family at home. I just want to get my dick sucked. And he goes, she's like, okay. And she blindfolds him, gives him some different drugs. Mm-hmm. They're watching from the two-way mirror just to see the effects of it. That sounds like, it sounds comical, but it's also scary at the same time because these were actual experiments that have been done. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, did it further the scientific discovery of how the mind works and what we're capable of? That's what I really want to know. Like, remember, we were always supposed to talk about the experimentation of these people who had special abilities.
1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So given that, if you have these people who have special, like they did experiments with them, remember it was on those files that we were reading and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, can some of these drugs, is there a certain mixture that can bring a human mind or a human being to a certain place that we've never seen before?
It's possible.
I mean, but I want to hear your final thoughts on this, though. You know what I mean? If you have anything else you want to mention.
Oh, man. Honestly, I would say, yo, stop thinking with your dick, man. If you... I'm not going to make this something funny, but, yo, I would say... I'm pretty sure a lot of these experiments weren't... they didn't stop. I believe that there's still people right now being used for mind control for probably somebody else's purpose or agenda. I would say just be safe, man, and do your research on some of these things because it's pretty interesting, bro.
Understood, man. Like, yeah, my final thoughts on it is
what's going on, Blunteers, and any other people who are watching this advertisement. Look, we are here at CC Studio Lounge. This is where all the magic happens. If you're interested in doing any type of recording, because we got our engineers here ready to make you guys happy when it comes to music production.
That's right. That's right. Make sure you hit up CC Studio Lounge, Courageous Catch Studio Lounge. We got our team in here. Look, it's a vibe in here. So look at the vibe in here, man. It's once
nice.
you in here, once y'all in here, you gonna feel the vibe. You gonna make magic. Make sure you hit up CC Studio Lounge. You can hit us up on Instagram. The email is ccstudiolounge@gmail.com. Yeah, that's it, bro.
Shout out to Zoo Productions. He's the one that records everything. He makes it happen.
Zoo
Yo,
Zoo.
we love you, man.